Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Ruby Herbert. I'm a functional medicine certified health coach, and today's video is all about educating on some healthy foods that you can donate to food banks or food distributions, any one of these charities that, provide for lower income and homeless people. And I'm really passionate about this subject because I'm hoping that through education, we'll be able to move forward through time and in society to make sure that everyone has access to healthy food. Because nutrition is one of the first steps to full body health. And I'm saddened to see that, food stamps usually provide the cheapest, most basic foods just to sustain life, but they often contribute to these lifestyle illnesses like diabetes and heart disease. And then you need healthcare in order to get over those, right? And with these more chronic illnesses, you're going to need insulin all the time, and insulin is so expensive, it's shooting through the roof. And a lot of times if you have healthcare or not, it doesn't help in terms of insurance. It's just this vicious cycle. And I hope that I'll be able to educate, and through my lifetime, we'll be able to see some better changes and get people on a better path towards full body health. One of the ways we can do that is as people who, maybe if you have extra income, or you're feeling called to donate to one of these charities, you can be educated in your head about what you're looking to buy when you go to the grocery store to ensure that they're just some really solid, great nutritional options for the people that then receive that. So, the overarching theme, we're looking for more protein options over simple carbohydrates. So, I used the example of a steak and a pasta. I mean, you can't really donate a fresh steak. So, we'll get into the next few slides of things that are, shelf stable, prepackaged, but that are more protein sources that I think would be really beneficial for people to receive. So for this first slide here, this is just jerky and cured meat. So as I said, shelf stable in these nice packages. And overall, you're going to be looking for ones that don't have a lot of added sugar. So either low sugar or just no sugar at all. And then simple ingredients. So if it's just going to be jerky, you'd hope it's just beef, right? And maybe some salt and some seasonings and not a lot of other stuff. So that's what I mean by simple ingredients. And if you have the option to get ones that don't have added nitrates, that would be great. As I said, if it's something you have two, it's the same price, one's got nitrates and one doesn't, go for the non-nitrate. And I want to be clear, that's kind of my example for all of these. If you manage to get something that's protein and maybe it had a couple weird ingredients in it, at least it's protein, right? And it will be beneficial to someone because of that. So the slides that I'm showing throughout the whole presentation have examples that I would consider to be like top tier ideal. And I do that because, what's the expression? If you shoot for the moon and you miss, you land among the stars. That's kind of what I'm going for this. If you see these and you can afford these and you want to donate them, perfect, or those are great options. But if you get something anywhere near there, or you look at my reasoning that I give, and you can find something similar, that's great. So by no means are these a be all end all in terms of options. We're going further here into canned protein, so tuna, chicken, and I'm sure there's other ones, maybe some salmon perhaps. We're just looking for that these cans and maybe even the pouches are made of BPA free plastic or BPA free liners in the cans. Just because BPA is something that we're seeing as a hormone disruptor, an endocrine disruptor, it can cause some problems in the body. And from what I understand, it appears to be a lot of manufacturers are being more aware of that. So you should be able to find some good options. Further, we only want things packaged in water or olive oil. If you have two and one says olive oil and one says canola oil, it's best to avoid any type of protein here packaged in canola oil or sunflower oil, just because those are more inflammatory in the body and they can lead to some other kinds of diseases. So, if you can, we're looking for water or olive oil. Lastly, just simple ingredients. If it's a can of chicken, you'd be hoping it's just chicken and whatever it needs to be preserved in there. I wanted to include protein powder. These can often get very pricey. So, especially, these Terra's Way one here, I've noticed is kind of expensive. The one in the middle I found on Costco.com, and that had some solid ingredients, nothing too weird in there. Again, you're just kind of looking for low or no sugar and simple ingredients. I'll probably be repeating myself a lot because that's mostly what we're looking for. But I thought this would be beneficial to people as a supplementation of protein. So, if there were things that people would get that they could make smoothies and then add this in, or just add it into even just some water or milk, and it would just give them that much more protein and really help out, I believe. The next slide for protein is beans. So, this would be a plant based protein, not as bioavailable as meat. So, I don't usually go for beans as being my primary protein source, but again, anything will help, of course, in these situations. I would just believe it's important if you can. Again, look for BPA free cans, simple ingredients. If it's within a few cents and you can afford it, I would go for organic because some of these beans might be heavily sprayed with pesticides. And if people are going to be using beans for the majority of their calorie intake, the less toxins or pesticides that they take in, the better. The next slide is we got nut and seed butters. So these two of these you can find at Costco, peanut butter or almond butter. I figured maybe if you're interested to get something like a sunflower seed butter in case they have nut allergies, they can provide the distribution can provide for people with nut allergies. And I just picked organic on here as well because unfortunately nuts do tend to have some pesticides in there. But once again, and then I'll stop saying it, if you can't go for organic, regular is just fine as long as you're donating food and this is a pretty decent protein source, or at least a source that, if you add to something else will just give you that much more calories. Oh, yes, of course. Speaking of calories, very high calorie, which I think is great because we're looking at something that's really dense. So if you just have a spoonful of that, that'll increase calorie intake and again help people who are food scarce. BPA free plastic if you can, simple ingredients, especially when it comes to these peanut butters. You often see people will add canola oil or add palm shortening, something like that. Guys, all we have to do is grind peanuts and it becomes peanut butter. So let's look for just that, right? Peanuts, salt, and as I said, organic if you can. So those are mostly, I'll go back here. Those are just mostly the protein sources that I could find that I think would be great options if you can grab some of those the next time you're out. But I wanted to be sure to just add other little healthy staples that you might be looking to buy. So, for fats and oils, I noticed I was reading a few articles saying they would love to accept cooking oils, and they were like canola or sunflower oil. And if you've watched my other videos, you know that I really don't like those. Not ideal for the body. But that is why I prefer things like avocado oil, extra virgin olive oil, and coconut oil. So, these would just be some great options to donate. Again, you can't use the glass because they ask that things are not packaged in glass when it is donated. So I understand that, but let's just see if it's BPA free. And the wording you're looking for is extra virgin, unrefined, expeller pressed. That just means that the oils and the fats are not heavily processed, so they don't have as much of an opportunity to break down and become rancid or toxic to the body. So, and then again, avocado oil, olive oil, and coconut oil have a lot of other great beneficial compounds that would very much help people, I believe, if they received that. Next one, I think we don't really think of often. I personally hadn't thought to put this in my presentation until I found an article talking about, other foods you can donate, and that is spices. So spices are so amazing. This is just general advice for everybody. Stock up your spice cabinet and just add add stuff in because they have so many antioxidants and polyphenols and just really amazing little compounds like trace compounds that when you just add it to stuff make your food that much healthier. So these are some examples that come in the plastic bottles here. You can look at the brands. I wanted to be sure to add in salt here. If you're looking to donate some salt, go for something like this real salt or a Himalayan pink salt, maybe even sea salt over an iodized table salt. Iodized table salt often can contribute to high blood pressure. And in the realm of spices, I would shell out a few more cents to get the organic if you're donating, because unfortunately spices have just a lot of weird stuff if it's not organic. They add a lot of weird fillers, ingredients often as well. Spices are treated with radiation or fumigated with like toxic materials that they just stay in there. So I would go for organic because that is just steam cleaned and steam processed when it's imported. So go for that. We also have options for fruit. So I believe fresh fruit, you can't donate that. So we're looking for dried fruit, applesauce. So organic if you can, and no added sugar. That's the main thing. Something like a dried mango that's been dried with sugar is just about as much sugar as a candy bar. So it's really not as healthy. So we're looking for ones, as I said, that are just the fruit, just to give a healthier carbohydrate source, as well as some polyphenols and things like that in fruit. Okay, so just a few more slides. This one here is on milk alternatives. You'll notice that soy and oat milk aren't listed. Again, if we're looking for ones that people often don't see because they don't get purchased a lot, or macadamia milk or flax milk or just regular coconut milk, I think this would be valuable to donate just in case someone has a dairy allergy and they'd benefit from an alternative. But unfortunately, soy milk, if you consume a lot of it, it is an estrogenic compound. So that can cause hormone imbalance in people. And oat milk is very carbohydrate heavy. So you think it's healthy because it's not milk, but it could be as much as twice as much sugar or carbohydrates in it than regular milk. The most important thing is unsweetened. Again, people can add sugar, but they can't take it away. So I say unsweetened for most of these things because, like, for that reason, if people were to just drink it straight or consume this, they don't want to be getting so much sugar. We have oats. This is for bulking out meals. My only problem is oats that are donated that are not organic often are sprayed very heavily with Roundup or glyphosate, which is a pesticide that is in a lot of cereals that is a carcinogen. And again, I'm just aware of the fact that these families may be eating a large portion of their calories from things like oats. And if I would be providing food, I would want them to be glyphosate free or organic, just so that you get a little bit of a respite from all those toxins, right? And it would be cool if they were gluten free, just in case someone does have a gluten intolerance, just to provide for all sorts of differences in population. Okay, and lastly, on that same kind of vein, I was thinking alternative flours for people who are baking. If they did have a gluten intolerance, it might be cool to donate some things like this. So we got cassava flour, gluten-free 1-to-1 baking flour from Bob's Red Mill, and almond flour. So I just thought if you're around and you see some of these, maybe someone would get a kick out of it. And when we donate, diverse things, then they can be appropriately allocated to people. So this one's easy, just simple, recognizable ingredients. The cassava flour here is just cassava, ground up cassava. Almonds here is just ground up almonds. So that's really all you need. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you managed to look back on those slides and find some options that you're going to pick up next time you go shopping for your food donation. And if you have any items that you buy regularly that you didn't see in there, please share them in the comments. I would love to kind of hear what everyone is thinking on that front. And I wanted to be sure to give you my contact information. You can always email me at ruby.healthcoach@gmail.com. If you just have any questions, health related or coaching related, you can always just ask for a free coaching consultation, and I'm happy to provide that as well. And that's all for me. Thanks again, you guys. I'll catch you soon on the next video.